All right, so welcome to Let's Talk Television, Episode 1. Sorry for the delay there at the beginning. Typically I like to get started a little bit sooner, but I was just watching the stream here, but everything is good now with the quality. I just wanted to let it play there for a few extra seconds. So, anyways, the audio is looking all good here as well. So some changes, of course, to this series. Now, Let's Talk Television, of course, a talk show kind of about weekly television news. Going to be airing here on Saturdays, of course, on the network. So of course I did this series on my other review channel before, and so this one's going to look really similar to that type of show that I did on there. Of course, a few changes though. To some of the look of things, I suppose, with the overlay and stuff like that. But mostly the same format because I really like that format as well. So we'll be talking a lot of news, and let me tell you, this week of television news, since I've been doing this show since March of this year, I think it was April or March of this year, this is maybe like the busiest week of news for TV. Like, it's insane. I don't understand why either. It's just a lot of, and not necessarily big news, but just a lot of headlines and notable stuff to cover. And so this week I really had to select some specific articles. I had 14 articles that I could have been talking about today. So anyways, I reduced them to, I think, about 7. So I took about half of them. So if you know other news, definitely raise that question in the live chat if you're watching live, or if you're watching afterwards. Appreciate it, either way. If you're watching live now, thank you to those of you who are tuning in. So anyways, yeah, so raise that if I don't talk about the news. I know one of the biggest ones I'm not talking about is Jeffrey Dean Morgan come back for Supernatural 300th episode, but I am not caught up with Supernatural, and so I just thought, I gotta skip that one. But anyway, so let's jump in then to this week's news with our spotlight for this week, and that is the worst TV shows of 2018. And so right now, especially this week, a lot of places, you saw Hollywood Reporter, IndieWire, Variety, all these places kind of putting out these lists of top 20 shows of 2018, or top 10 shows, top 10 episodes, worst TV shows, right, of 2018. And so I thought it'd be interesting for me to do something like that to start things off here as kind of the focus of this episode. And so I selected a piece from IndieWire breaking down their worst TV shows of 2018, or as they put it, the most disappointing shows of 2018. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over their list a little bit, give you some of the more popular picks, and then I'll give you some of my picks for the worst shows of 2018. And I'd love to hear your guys' opinion on the shows I talk about, or your worst TV shows of 2018. And it can be either, they were just really bad, or they were disappointing. Some of these that I have on this list are actually decent shows. It's just they really disappointed me, from the way I thought they were going to be to the way they turned out. So anyways, just thought it'd be a really interesting topic here to talk about. And like I said, a lot of countdowns and stuff going on with, 2018, the year's coming to an end shortly. And so I thought this would be great. I think next week I may do something like the best TV shows then to kind of counter this one, but we'll have to see. So off the top here we go. IndieWire says critics picked the most disappointing TV shows of 2018 in an IndieWire survey. Every week, IndieWire asks a select handful of TV critics 2 questions and publishes the results on Tuesday. And so this was their results for this survey. And this week's question, their other question was, what was your favorite episode this week, or something like that? But this week's question was, what's the most disappointing show of 2018? And so that was the question posed to a bunch of these critics at IndieWire. And I don't think they were just for IndieWire. I think it was kind of a broad range of them. I believe there's 15 or so of the critics on this article that share their opinions. A pretty long one, but if you do want to check it out, I really suggest it. But anyways, so really interesting stuff here, the list that they put together. So they say the answers are based on some anticipation of a show being good or promising, and then not living up to that standard. Both new and returning shows apply, so that's an important thing too. It's not just new shows, it's returning ones as well. So some of their most popular picks included, which overwhelmingly was the Romanoffs. I'm pretty sure almost every critic said the Romanoffs, or at least mentioned it within their list of the worst TV shows of 2018. Definitely up there. So the Romanoffs for sure. A few of them said Westworld Season 2 was the most disappointing TV show of 2018, which is interesting because it gets a lot of praise, and you know what, the Emmys got a lot of attention too. Yet to some of these critics, they think it's the most disappointing show of 2018. So that's interesting there as well. And I think that is where the whole notion of disappointment rather than worst comes into play here, because I don't think any critic out there is going to say Westworld is the worst show. It's the most disappointing show, right? Another one that was popular was Insatiable with Debbie Ryan. On Netflix there. Of course, it got a huge backlash, controversy going into it. And then some people I heard said that they actually didn't mind it. It didn't turn out to be as bad as what people were saying, but it was still very disappointing. Ozark Season 2, I think 2 or 3 critics pick Ozark Season 2 as their worst season, or their, most disappointing season of TV in 2018, which is interesting because I didn't mind Ozark Season 2. I think it was a step down from Season 1, but I don't think it was the most disappointing. And then also a very popular one was Camping with Jennifer Garner on HBO, and I agree with that. Not a good performance so far just in ratings, but also the show just is a huge disappointment in my opinion as well. So, anyways, but HBO, you know what, they can strike out every once in a while because all the stuff they give us most of the time is pretty damn good. So anyway, so that just about rounds out their most popular picks. Some other picks were The First on Amazon. I'm trying to think of some other ones that they had on there. A couple of them picked 13 Reasons Why, Season 2, and yeah. So, anyways, if you want to go check out their list, I believe, it was like 15 critics, and they all kind of picked their worst, and then also mentioned some others. So, now we get to my picks for the worst TV shows of 2018, or the most disappointing TV shows of 2018. So I have, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 6 shows listed on here. Not really in any particular order, but I just thought I'd talk about 6. So, briefly. So Salvation Season 2. Definitely up there for me with most disappointing TV shows of 2018. I mean, Season 1, I recognize it's not the best TV show on, on right now, of course. But Season 1, I just really enjoyed the concept of that asteroid hitting Earth. I thought it was something that we've never seen in a TV show before. We've seen, these space, theme movies with the asteroid coming and threatening Earth before, with movies, the disaster movies, right? But we've never quite seen something like that on television. Thought the cast was really great. Now I'm gonna, forget the cast, but Jennifer Finnegan, Santiago Cabrera, Ian Anthony Dale, Charlie Rowe, kind of the 4 main ones. All really great actors, and for this series, they were really great. So, Season 1, I didn't mind it. The end of Season 1, I didn't really like the way that they were going. Season 2 was just disappointing, and if you watch Salvation, you know what I mean. It's now since been canceled on CBS. I really think that this show, Season 1, you should have just ended it there, or to begin with, you should have just made it a 1-season thing or a mini-series type of thing, because that concept, I loved it, but it did not work for a multi-season show. It just didn't. I mean, an asteroid's coming to Earth, and they only have so many days. Well, you're either going to do, you're going to stretch out episodes for, do an episode a day leading up to this asteroid, right? Or you're just going to run out of days left, and that asteroid's either got to hit Earth or it doesn't, and that's pretty much going to be the end of your series, right? And so with this show, they just kind of, they kind of expanded this idea that maybe could never have been truly expanded. And that's why Season 2 just was disappointing. And really, I mean, Season 2, at least the first half of it, was just government focus and a coup over the presidency. Really nothing to do with this asteroid at all. The asteroid storyline kind of took a backseat, which is like pretty much the whole premise of the show. So in that case, Season 2, Salvation, definitely up there. The Romanoffs for me too. I only checked out episode 1, and yeah, I checked out right after that episode. Matthew Weiner, I've seen some of Mad Men, not all of it, unfortunately. Love John Hamm, by the way. But, yeah, the Romanovs episode 1, I saw that, and that was about the worst, or not the worst. That was the last episode that I saw of Romanovs, and I probably will not watch the rest. Just really bad reviews about it, and I totally agree with some of these critics. Most disappointing, because it's the most disappointing because of what we saw with Mad Men and Matthew Weiner in his ability to do that. The Romanovs was just a huge disappointment in that case. Just, the premise of it, just to start with, I didn't love it. Doing kind of an anthology episodic series, like a different episode for each week, with a whole different story, whole different cast. I didn't love it. And the whole concept of it, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of it. Some people are out there actually really like Romanovs, and you know what? Like, that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying it's the worst show or whatever. I'm just saying it's a big disappointment, and I think almost everyone would agree with me, is that it was disappointing because of Matthew Weiner's past with Mad Men particularly, and that success of that show, and coming into the Romanovs now, and, just not delivering that same type of, tone, performances, just everything really did not come, to the standard of Mad Men. So there you go. My next one is Tell Me a Story. You know what? It's kind of tough to put this on here because I kind of expected it to be like this. I didn't expect a huge show, but I was really disappointed, especially with the first couple episodes. This show is supposed to be a fairy tale. That's how it was advertised, and that's how they kind of portrayed this one. And all we got in the first couple episodes, or even the third episode yet, is, just little teases at things. In the first episode, when the girl goes out of the house, we see her grab a red coat with a hood, right? Red Riding Hood. But we never actually get, stories that resemble these fairy tales like they said they would give us. So, in that case, I would say Tell Me a Story is up there, most disappointing of 2018. Of course, some recency bias plays into this one because this is, a show that I've just seen recently, and that's probably why it's up here over some others. But I don't know. I love the cast. I think the cast is really great. Billy Magnuson is one of my favorites in it. He's great, and I don't know. It's just disappointing. I thought it would be better, but, it's really kind of a CW light type of show. James Woke, Paul Wesley, just a really great cast in here. I just feel like they didn't fully get the potential of these actors and actresses, and it just didn't really turn out exactly kind of the way I thought it would, and that's maybe why I was disappointed. So, but you know what? It's okay. It's a pretty good show. I would say it's probably the second best CBS All Access show next to Star Trek Discovery. But anyways, so another one is The Crossing on on ABC this summer. You know what, it was okay, but it was never more than that. And the way it was advertised, too, with the whole thing, and I always compared it to 4400, but let me tell you, it never lived up to that 4400 standard. And the 4400 standard wasn't even that high comparing to other TV shows on now, but The Crossing just never came through. And again, I love some of the cast in it. I thought Steve Zahn was really great in the main role, but it just never quite reached that potential. They teased at it. They teased at really great things, but they never reached those great things. And that's what I didn't like about it. But anyways, really interesting story. And maybe it would have been better to see a season 2 of it. Unfortunately, it got canceled. But, so that was definitely most disappointing. Another one for me, which may be unpopular, but American Vandal, season 2. I just thought it totally lost all of its humor and feel and theme with season 2. Jimmy Tatro is a big part of season 1 and why I enjoyed it so damn much. And that type of character just was not in season 2. It was completely missing. I did love, of course, the two main guys. What's their names now? Oh, I'm forgetting now. Peter Maldonado, right, and what's the other guy's name? Anyways, okay, so, yeah, Peter Maldonado and the other guy, I love them again, and the actors for them, really great, but it just was missing that original feel that they got, and I wasn't intrigued as much with this storyline about, you know, the turd burglar and all that stuff. So, you know what, it was funny, it was a cool kind of concept they were working with, but it just was not as good as Season 1, and to be honest, I was expecting even better than Season 1 with this Season 2. And so it's just unfortunate, and it's since been canceled now on Netflix, which is unfortunate. I still, even though Season 2 is disappointing, I'd still love to see a Season 3 and see what they can do. But unfortunately, I don't know, I feel like we will still see a Season 3, just probably not on Netflix. But anyways, American Vandal Season 2 is up there for me. Lastly, 13 Reasons Why Season 2. I could go on a rant for a whole episode of Let's Talk Television. Hell, I already did. If you want to see that, it's on my Chatterbox Reviews channel. But yeah, I still don't think Season 2 should have been made. I think you leave Season 1 at 13 Reasons Why. As it is with those 13 episodes, it's a very, you know what, like, you know, say what you want, all the controversial stuff about it, but I think the format itself and just the organization of the series, I think it's a really great organization there with Season 1, with the tapes corresponding to the episodes and the characters. They did such a good job with that in Season 1, and Season 2 just totally threw that aside and really made it worse. So, the very reason why Season 2, definitely up there most disappointing, but to be honest, I knew it was going to be going in, so that, you know, it is what it is. But anyways, those are my most disappointing shows, or the worst TV shows of 2018. Let me know what yours are. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And if you've seen the shows that I mentioned and, you know, you disagree with me completely, please let me know. I'd love to discuss with you guys about this and hear your thoughts also on these series. And like I said, if I didn't mention one that you really didn't like, then also let me know as well. And I think I do want to do a favorite TV shows 2018 episode, maybe, or topic at least for next episode, to kind of, kind of get both sides of the issue here. So anyways, that'll just about do it for the spotlight for this episode. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the worst TV shows 2018. There's a lot of other articles out there, but the Romanovs really remains as one of the most disappointing ones for a lot of critics. So there you go. All right, on to the next topic now. Which we'll, get into now the rest of the news. So, first one here is Jean-Marc Vallee to direct new HBO limited series. So, this one is from The Hollywood Reporter. I suggest you check this one out as well, this article. But this is big news. This is awesome because Jean-Marc Vallee, if you don't know, is the director of Big Little Lies and Sharp Objects. Like, really great great company there to have with being involved with Big Little Lies and Sharp Objects. This is amazing. So to hear his name, I think anything that he now makes, until he proves us otherwise, I think anything he makes is a must-watch. Sharp Objects was amazing this year. Of course, guided by Amy Adams, but it was still great. Really great. Big Little Lies, of course, really great as well. So, to see that Jean-Marc Vallee is now working on his next project, I think this is a must-watch. I mean, even if you don't like Sharp Objects, I think you still have to recognize how good of a show it was, or how good of a series it was. Same with Big Little Lies, too. So, anyways, here we go. Big Little Lies and Sharp Objects director Jean-Marc Vallee is ending his self-imposed break from helming with another HBO limited series project. The Emmy and Director Guild Award winner and Oscar nominee will direct Gorilla and the Bird. That's what it's called. A limited series based on a memoir by Zach McDermott. At the Vancouver Film Festival in October, Vallee told The Hollywood Reporter that he was taking some time off to recharge his batteries and get his life back after doing Big Little Lies and Sharp Objects right back to back with each other. So a lot of work there. Gorilla and the Bird, this new series, will see Vallee back behind the camera for HBO when it goes into production. The limited series follows Zach, a public defender with the Legal Aid Society of New York, who suffers a sudden psychotic break that takes him on a harrowing journey of delusions and antisocial behavior, resulting in his arrest and commitment to Bellevue, I think. As he fights to regain his sanity, Zach, who's the gorilla, turns to the only person who didn't give up on him, his mother, who is the Bird. So that's where the title comes in. Sounds really great, and you know what? This sounds a lot like Sharp Objects, right? A main character going through kind of a psychotic break. I think that's fair to say with Sharp Objects too. And a lot of, introverted behavior right from this main character. And, I think it's going to be a lot of the same kind of stuff that we see with Sharp Objects. Now, I'm really looking forward to who the cast is going to be for this one, because we had a great cast for Sharp Objects. Patricia Clarkson, Amy Adams, and Big Little Lies. Do I even have to mention that? The cast is amazing for that too. So I'm really looking forward to the cast, and especially who is going to play the main character, Zach. That one is going to be big. So I really am excited for this, and like I said at the top here, I think anything that he works on from now on until he proves us otherwise is a must-watch. It's must-watch television, especially he's partnering with HBO again for another limited series. I think we can expect just as much as from this one as we did with Sharp Objects. I really do. So Jean-Marc Vallee, really great director right now. I think HBO has really tapped into a lot of talent there with him. So anyways, an interesting one. If you've read the memoir by Zach McDermott, of course, memoir, right, based off of his life, let me know. That's interesting there. Maybe it's something worth reading if I'm going to check out the series. So that's definitely interesting too. But anyways, really great news here to see that he's back from this little break. It's funny, though, because he said this break was happening in October, and then, 2 months later, he's already, show running, or running, another show. So, anyway, it's kind of funny, but why wouldn't you? I mean, how well Sharp Objects just did. Big Little Lies is doing amazing, so you know what? You gotta go on to success, right? And you gotta keep going. So anyways, great news here with this one, and I suggest Gorilla and the Bird is definitely a must watch. All right, so now on to the next topic of news, and this one is Frank Darabont and The Walking Dead and AMC with this lawsuit. And this news came out just, sorry, just checking on some stuff there. Okay. So this news came out, I believe, on Wednesday or Thursday. Kind of big news this week, especially for Walking Dead. And all shows, really, on AMC. This really, involves a lot of shows. So anyways, Frank Darabont's suit against AMC headed to trial. Now, just reading this headline, you might think that this is actually, really good news for Frank Darabont and this is bad for AMC. But the Hollywood Reporter article here actually argues the complete opposite. So here we go. Walking Dead creator Frank Darabont and CAA, which is, his agency, I guess, representing him, will head to trial against AMC in a massive lawsuit over the mega hit zombie series after a New York judge largely denied summary judgment motions on Monday. So this article gets a little technical here, and, I, of course, don't understand a lot of it. So if you do, that's great. If you don't, whatever. But anyways, they explain it a little bit more in the article. So the decision represents somewhat of a favorable development for AMC, which is alleged to have cheated profit participants through self-dealing agreements and underhanded accounting. The judge in this case denied Darabont's bid to declare that when AMC imputes license fees, it must be fair market value. The judge sees a fact question with respect to contractual interpretation of the key issue in this case, and so the ultimate determination will eventually be tried before a jury. So that's the key thing, right? The judge couldn't quite make a determination on it, and so because of that, the jury is now going to decide, essentially, right? So Darabont and his agents filed their massive lawsuit all the way back in 2013, right? So this is 5 years in the making. So, and in the 5 years since, it has become perhaps the biggest profits case in Hollywood history. That's crazy. I didn't even know that. In this dispute, Darabont and CAA contend that AMC should be booking a lot more in imputed fees. Instead of about $2.4 million an episode, plaintiffs' experts suggest it should be somewhere between $20 and $30 million an episode, an amount that would fundamentally reshape the economics of the series. Plus, Robert Kirkman and other creative executives with profit participation in the series are pursuing a similar claim in a separate lawsuit. So, that last part does not look very good for AMC. They're saying that they, get these imputed fees about $2.4 million an episode. And, this case is essentially arguing that they should be getting $20 to $30 million. I mean, that's a huge discrepancy there. So, if Darabont wins, if Kirkman wins with this other suit, this is not going to be good for AMC. And like they said, it drastically could reshape the economics of the series. will it mean, oh, they have to cancel The Walking Dead? No, I don't think it will. I think it just means that there will be some changes budget-wise with the show. Whether that means they have less of a budget then, or AMC then just is forced to put more money into it, then the budget just remains the same. So there's a lot of stuff to go with here, and maybe this is something that we can talk about again when a decision is made. Not sure when that'll happen, probably sometime in 2019. But just interesting stuff. So Darabont and Kirkman is also in a different suit, and Kirkman's paired with some, so Kirkman is paired with some other ones there too, seeking, some retribution, I guess, or at least kind of their equal pay that they think they didn't receive from AMC. And Robert Kirkman's, the creator of the Walking Dead comics, and he's the one, giving them the rights to this story. And he's saying that he's not getting paid equally. And of course, Frank Darabont, that whole situation is a mess to begin with. And now with this suit, it just gets even messier. So anyways, you're a Walking Dead fan. I don't think this is anything to fret about. I think The Walking Dead, no chance that it gets canceled over this, I don't think. I just think the budget may be a little bit changed and maybe a little bit less, or AMC is just going to have to, pull their pants up and put more money into this show, in order to get it back to the level it is. But we'll have to see. If that's true, though, if this decision ends up being that AMC has been, operating at this huge discrepancy between $2.4 and $20 million, that is something that is definitely going to be notable and something that's probably going to carry with AMC for a long time in the future. So anyways, we'll have to see. But again, I think this is something to review again when a decision is made at trial by a jury. So anyways, guys, that's just about that that's just about it for that one. Frank Darabont's suit against AMC headed to trial. So 2019 will be an interesting year for that one. And I don't even know if it's going to get resolved in 2019. I memean, it's already been 5 years since they launched this lawsuit. So who knows, and of course these lawsuits take so much time. So yeah, we'll have to see how long it is until we find out a verdict. But yeah, interesting news already. So, okay, so now let's go to the next topic of news today. And this one is the most binged Netflix shows of 2018 was released this week. So this one is from TV Line. Just a really short article here, basically telling us the most binged Netflix shows. Of course, Netflix did release this. So here we go. The streaming giant on Tuesday released its own year in review. And among the highlights was a list of the series that enjoyed, in quotes, the highest average watch time per viewing session, right? And so this is essentially binging, right? Based on stateside viewing through November 28th. Meaning they're the shows that you binge most intently, right? So that's what that is. Remember, they say in TV Line, remember, a key metric by which Netflix decides to renew or cancel any show is the completion rate. The more who watch a season all the way through to the end within a reasonable amount of time, the better. And this is what played a huge part in the Marvel shows on Netflix with Punisher and Daredevil, Luke Cage, and all these, right? And that's something that played a big part in there. So that's important to remember as well. Binging, a big part of Netflix's decisions in renewing and canceling, because that's what their program's all around, right? That's what it's based on. So in order, here we go. Netflix's biggest binges of 2018 were: number 1, On My Block. And I have to say, I've never heard of this one. So that's interesting. Number 2, no surprise here, Making a Murderer, Part 2. Although a lot of people say it's not as good as the first one, of course. I mean, a lot of viewers, right? A lot of people binged it. And I think it's not, quite like a drama, right? So it's something that may be even easier to binge rather than a, for example, I'm trying to think of Ozark, for example, right? This is an easier show to binge with a true crime aspect and kind of the documentary style, right? And so for that reason, Making a Murderer Part 2, definitely not a surprise there, number 2. Number 3 was 13 Reasons Why Season 2. And all these people wondering, all this controversy, why would Netflix just cancel this show already? Well, that would be the reason right there. Third on the most binge shows of 2018 is 13 Reasons Why Season 2. So, you think they're going to cancel it anytime soon? I beg to differ. I beg to differ on that one. Controversy is the controversy, and I buy into it personally a little bit too. I agree with some of the stuff that's being said, but Netflix, you know, if they're making all this money and you know, it's being the most binged, I don't see why they would cancel it. So, number 4 is Last Chance U, which, again, I haven't heard of. Football show, college football show, I think. So that was up there. Number 5 is Bodyguard. Got a lot of attention at the Golden Globes so far. So I'll have to see what happens with that series, but a lot of good stuff coming out of that one. Number 6 was Fastest Car. Again, never heard of it. Number 7 is The Haunting of Hill House. That's interesting. Again, a lot of good buzz around that show. So, you know, that's no surprise. Number 8, Anne with an E, Season 2. Again, not really a surprise. Heard a lot of things about that one. Number 9 is Insatiable. Interesting thing there, because you know what? A lot of people are saying, oh, I'm not going to watch this show, and all this controversy was out there, right? I'm not watching this. You know, it's a bad show. I don't know why Netflix is doing this. Yet it still gets to number 9 on their most binge shows. So that's interesting there. And then number 10 to round it out is Orange is the New Black Season 6, which again is not a surprise. So interesting stuff here. Ozark I thought might be on here, but again, I mean, it only came out in, what, August? Right? And so not many months here to go for binging, right? But anyways, interesting list here. And, you know, let me know if you've seen these shows and what you think of the, you know, binging Netflix thing and all that stuff. And are there any surprises on here to you? I'm still surprised that On My Block, never heard of it, and it's number 1. So I got to check that one out, or at least, you know, research it a little bit and kind of be familiar with that, because honestly, I've never heard of it. So, and it's the number 1 most binge show on Netflix. So anyways, so just some interesting stuff here, again, kind of going with this trend of wrapping up the year. Some interesting stuff there from Netflix. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on that one. Alright, so on to the next one here, and this one is Get Shorty is renewed for Season 3. So this one's from The Hollywood Reporter, and you know, great article here. And Get Shorty renewed for Season 3. So Epix is bringing Get Shorty back in 2019. The MGM-owned premium cable network has renewed the Chris O'Dowd and Ray Romano comedy for a 3rd season. The dark comedy, based on the 1990s Elmore Leonard novel and subsequent feature film, will be back after another season as a critical favorite with a 96% rating on RottenTomatoes.com. In quotes, Chris O'Dowd and Ray Romano have so thoroughly embraced their roles, and I know I speak for all fans of Get Shorty when I say that we can't wait for their escapades to unfold in Season 3, said Epix president Michael Wright. So, encouraging quote there, right? The president saying that. And then it says, Holmes, from Shameless, of course, will return as showrunner of the drama for Season 3, whose first season is now available to stream on Netflix after producers MGM Television secured an SVOD, straight video on demand, I guess, deal with the company. So I didn't know that. I actually didn't know it was on Netflix yet. So that's interesting too. I have seen Season 1. I'm on Season 2 right now. I'm like slowly crawling to the finish of Season 2 right now. I always thought of this one as a dramedy. I think a lot of people call it a comedy, but there are some serious parts in the show as well. Of course, it's all kind of light, you know, a lot of dark stuff, but they make light out of it. But there are some dramatic things, scenes and situations in the show. That's why I always call it a dramedy, and it's one of my favorite dramedies on TV right now. Love it. So Chris O'Dowd is really funny, and Ray Romano is great. I mean, they just play off each other so well in the show. They do such a good job, and that's one of the main reasons why the show has been so successful. So if you haven't seen Get Shorty, apparently Season 1 is on Netflix now, so you got no excuse. Everyone has Netflix now, I imagine. So check it out. I believe on Epix, or at least this summer, I think you could watch Season 1 for free, actually. I think they were streaming, maybe it was just kind of a special thing, but they were streaming Season 1 for free, I believe, on the Epix website, which I didn't understand at all. Like, why would they do that? But I don't know. Maybe it was just for a short time, too. But anyways, or at least it was like the first few episodes, something like that. But anyways, maybe that's still available, too. I'm not sure. But if you haven't seen the show, I really suggest it. It's a fun time. It's funny, but you still get those dramatic parts in it, which I love, because I'm not a huge fan of just comedies, but the drama aspect, too, is really great and what kind of sells me on the show. But Chris O'Dowd, man, he is really great. So yeah, great to hear that it's renewed. I don't think it's a big surprise because for Epix right now, it's perhaps the biggest scripted series for them on the channel, I guess. So or on the network there. So yeah, good job for Epix. They're developing some interesting stuff here coming soon. So we'll have to see what Epix does. I still believe that they might be kind of bought out, or at least kind of compiled into another one, because I just feel like they're, you know, once they get big, they'll probably do that. But that's just my thought. I don't know. And I've seen some articles saying, you know, Epix is, you know, rising a little bit and some company might buy them, like Amazon or something. So anyways, we'll have to see what happens. But Get Shorty is back for Season 3, and that's great news. So if you check out the show, let me know what you want to see in Season 3. If you're caught up, let me know, you know, what we are going to see in Season 3, and let me know that, and your thoughts on this one. So really great news here for Epix, Get Shorty, and all the fans of the show. Really great stuff. All right, so on to the second last topic of news for this week, and this one is, it's interesting. It's interesting. Maybe exciting for some fans as well. All right, so The Punisher Season 2 premiere date. So this one's from comicbook.com. This was all over, though, of course, but comicbook.com, a good article here. So here we go. The Punisher's second season is coming to Netflix, and now we have a much better idea as to when it will hit. Netflix released their January releases for 2019 today, and while no specific date was given, the release did reveal that Punisher Season 2 will be released sometime in January. It looks like you won't It looks like you won't have to wait much longer to see Frank Castle's newest adventure, and most likely it will be his final on Netflix. We say it will likely be the final season due to the recent string of cancellations by Netflix regarding Marvel shows. Last year, the popular streaming service had 5 Marvel shows in production. Since then, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and Daredevil have all been canceled, of course, as we all know. So, remaining are Punisher and Jessica Jones, both of which have seasons already completed and ready to air. It is expected that after Punisher airs its second season, it will also be canceled, as well as Jessica Jones, officially ending Marvel's TV relationship with Netflix. So, let me tell you, the way that this all played out was really quick. I mean, just throughout, like, you know, going into 2018, who would have thought, you know, okay, by the end of this year, they will be, you know, there'll be, well, 2 shows remaining on Netflix, 2 Marvel shows remaining on Netflix, and probably in the first half of 2019, they'll all be gone. All 5 shows will be gone. I don't think anyone really predicted that. Maybe some people, but I just think it's still a bit of a surprise of how quick it went, you know, and just the way things happen here. So I'm really kind of upset about this one. I still haven't seen The Punisher Season 1. I'm not a huge superhero guy, which is unpopular, I guess, in this type of entertainment world that we live in right now with all these superhero and comic book movies and TV shows. But anyways, I'm just upset for John Bernthal, because I think it's really great in this Punisher. I've heard great things about him, and I really liked this. I really thought he was great for the role, and just upsetting that he will be done after Season 2, and I think the comicbook.com is right. I think Season 2 will be the last one, and same with Jessica Jones. I think both shows are, you know, I think they're pretty much done too, given that, you know, because Daredevil got canceled, right? And that was like the biggest one out of the 5. So if Daredevil gets canceled, I would think it's a pretty big, or a pretty good chance that the Punisher and Jessica Jones will be canceled as well. So anyways, I think for the first one, right, it was like Luke Cage got canceled. You know, okay, you know, so that season wasn't as good. So that makes sense that they canceled it. And then Iron Fist got canceled. Some people were mad about that one. And then Daredevil is just the straw that broke the camel's back, right? I mean, everyone was like freaking out because Daredevil Season 3 was really great. And so people are just kind of freaking out. And then we've kind of now noticed this trend of canceling all the Marvel TV shows on Netflix. So anyways, you know, a lot of videos out there, you know, saying, you know, why Daredevil got canceled and explaining all this stuff. So I won't go into all that. But just interesting stuff that we now get the Punisher in January, which most likely will be its final season, which again is just unfortunate. Really would have liked to see this character explored, especially with Jon Bernthal. And season 1 got great reviews, great buzz around it. So just upsetting to see, because I don't think that, the show itself is not the reason for it getting canceled, right? And that's just unfortunate to see for the showrunners, Jon Bernthal, the cast, everyone really. It's just kind of upsetting. So anyways, and Jessica Jones too. I mean, we don't know when that's coming, but I assume it will be probably in the first half of 2019, and then that one will be over too. So anyways, if I had to say, I think The Punisher would be more likely to get another season, but I really don't think it will. But anyways, let me know what you think of this one. Will you be watching The Punisher Season 2? What do you think of Season 1? I'd love to discuss The Punisher, with you guys, with Season 1, and, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with it, and if Season 2 is really good, it's going to be rough, again, if it gets canceled. It's going to be like Daredevil all over again, right? But anyways, we'll see what happens. So there you go with that one. All right, so on to our last topic of news for today's episode, which is interesting for Walking Dead fans, and interesting for fans of the cast of Walking Dead with Lauren Cohan, but also fans who are just waiting for her to come back. So this is good news. So this one is from FanFest News. I really couldn't find a lot of articles reporting on this one, so FanFest News with the article here. So Whiskey Cavalier gets premiere date. If you've been missing Lauren Cohan on The Walking Dead, fear not. Her new series Whiskey Cavalier officially has a premiere date. You can catch Cohan and Scandal alum Scott Foley, love Scott Foley, teaming up every Wednesday starting on February 27th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC. Earlier this year, Cohan announced that she had signed on to star in the ABC pilot for Whiskey Cavalier while she was undergoing contract negotiations with The Walking Dead. So, fans of The Walking Dead, we all know what happened with that, kind of a messy situation there, and anyways, it ended up with her signing on to this pilot. So, when the pilot was picked up to series, Cohan's exit from the zombie drama became set in stone. But the new project puts Cohan deservedly front and center, and even teams her back up with her old Walking Dead co-star, Tyler James Williams, Noah from The Walking Dead. Another great reason that I'm excited for this show. While fans were sad to see Cohan leave The Walking Dead after having been a series regular since season 2, her character was not killed off, and both AMC and Cohan have remained extremely vocal about her one day returning. So this is interesting news, especially with that last aspect, because it's returning February 27th. So that means that she may be able then to be in Season 10, or maybe even the beginning of Season 10. But again, I mean, filming, right? All the schedules with filming is obviously different than the release dates. And so that plays a huge part in it too. I'm not exactly sure when Walking Dead resumes filming. I believe it's in March or April for the next season. Or maybe even earlier than that. Maybe it is February. I'm not totally sure, but that is interesting just to see, when Lauren Cohan is going to be available. And again, this all relies on her. I mean, is she wanting to film, possibly, and it also depends if Whiskey Cavalier gets a full season order too on ABC, because then she's got to go back and film that. So there's a lot of things depending on this Whiskey Cavalier show right now in order for her to return to The Walking Dead. And like the article says, I mean, we're all just kind of waiting for her to return. But again, if this show becomes successful, who knows, she'll ever be a series regular again in the show. I think, of course, she'll still appear in it from time to time, but she's not going to be a big character. Which eventually might lead to them having to kill her off. I mean, it just may have to be the only solution that is possible if this Whiskey Cavalier is successful. But anyways, I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely going to check it out. I think it has a lot of potential. Whether it will reach that potential is yet to be seen. But Scott Foley, Tyler James Williams, and Lauren Cohan, count me in. I don't really care what it is or what the story premise is. I'll watch those three. I'll give the pilot a chance for sure with those three. So I'm really excited for it. The trailer is up. You can search it up too. Pretty good trailer. It looks good. Like, it looks like a good series. So we'll have to see what happens. And again, the cast, really a big selling feature for me. And a lot of Walking Dead fans who love Lauren Cohan. So really great news here. I was just waiting on this news because we haven't heard much about it, and now we get it. So February 27th at 10 p.m. is Whiskey Cavalier, Lauren Cohan Man's new show on ABC is getting a premiere date. So, anyways, guys, that'll just about do it for all the news for this episode. Now, as I always do every week, I do a weekly notables segment here at the end, breaking down my my notable episode and notable performance from this week in television. And so what I typically do is, these are shows, or not typically, these are shows that I have seen this week. And unfortunately, I only saw one episode of TV this week. And you know what? The last 3 weeks, I have only seen one episode of TV, because there's really only one TV show on the air right now that I really like, and it's really worth watching every week, and that's Escape of Dannemora. So my notable episode this week is Escape of Dannemora, Season 1, Episode 4, Part 4. Wow. Great episode this week yet again. Honestly, each week I'm like, this is the best episode so far. This is the best, and it really is. I think Part 4 is the best episode so far. Really great episode here. If you're not watching Escape of Dannemora, it's a mini-series on Showtime right now. 7-part mini-series. It is great. I really suggest you check it out. Honestly, it's really worth it. Some great performances. Patricia Arquette, Benicio del Toro, and Paul Dano. Which leads me to my next thing. Notable performance from this week is Paul Dano from this episode. He was great in this episode. Kind of took a lot of screen time. Got a big role in this episode, and he definitely did not disappoint. Paul Dano is great. So, great cast in this one. Great premise. Of course, telling the true story, or at least based on the true story of this prison escape in New York in 2015. So, really interesting show, and if you're not watching, I really do suggest it, honestly. Really great. So, anyways, those are my weekly notables from that one, and unfortunately, I'm just not watching as much TV as I, used to in the last, months or so. It's just been a slow month for me. I think this December has been a little bit disappointing in that way, and Escape of Dannemora is one of the only ones I'm watching. So, anyways, that'll just about do it then for this episode of Let's Talk Television. Typically I'll do a Q&A segment as well. So, if you are watching afterwards here and you have a comment, question, or anything, please share your thoughts on any and or all this news, of course. But if you have a question as well about this or other stuff too, love to answer it in next episode, and I'll spend some time answering that. And covering that for sure if you leave questions. So, anyways, guys, so that'll just about do it for this episode of Let's Talk Television. Again, appreciate those of you who tune in live. Thank you, and appreciate those of you who tune in afterwards, of course, on the replay. So, anyways, this is gonna be what Let's Talk Television is gonna continue on with on this network, and weekly shows on Saturdays talking about the TV news. So I may actually be bringing on some other people as well for this show in the future. I'm not sure who I would bring on or when that would happen. Of course, I'd have to make some changes with not only the looks of it, but also the discussion stuff. But anyways, that is something I'm looking towards in doing in the future. So yeah, we'll have to see how that turns out, and hopefully we'll get on some great people who know and like discussing as much TV news as me. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching Let's Talk Television, Episode 1, and we'll be back next Saturday breaking down some of the biggest news from this next week in that episode as well. So, again, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll end it here. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.